So good morning, everybody. This is day 4 of our employment planning workshop. We're going to continue this next week, but today we're going to review what we've done the last 3 days. So please go to your Google Plus, look at today's event that discusses what we're going to be talking about today and what we should have been doing all week. Okay? So when you get to Google Plus, to the event, let me know. Raise your hand if you're there. Okay?
Ashton Kutcher?
Yeah. It has Ashton, well, Chris. This is his real name. Chris Kutcher is there. Okay, what about you, Scott?
I'm 87% done. All right, I'll stop.
Oh, wow.
Okay, Google
I
Plus,
don't get those parts.
Ashton Kutcher, right here.
Oh, I'm in
Day
the
4.
Okay, so Crystal, let me know when everybody is at the Google Plus page that has Ashton Kutcher on it. Sam, are you there?
No, I have.
Bill, are you there?
I'm there.
I have a page. You know, with this
There we go.
ordinary,
Yeah.
one night, one night.
Look
I
at-
have that, but I don't have. I have that top part. But I don't have it.
Right there.
If something is blue, then it's a link.
No, click right there.
Okay? So how's everyone else? Tony, are you there?
No.
Anita? Brian? Jamie? Joanne?
I'm getting there.
Okay, Brian, could you help Joanne, please?
Tony, you there?
Joanne, behind you.
I'm there.
Four.
Okay, let's see, Dodie, Malika,
Yes.
Yeah.
Dave, okay. Fred is there.
Planning, right?
Yes, it is employment planning.
There's all full plan before.
That's day 4.
I wrote it down somewhere else.
So in California, is everybody there?
And we're just going to watch it on the wall on one screen.
Okay,
But for the details part, yes, everyone is there.
okay, good. So, all right, so let's watch the video, and then we'll regroup in 4 minutes. Okay?
I don't see Ashton Kutcher.
Right there. Ashton Kutcher, Chris Kutcher.
Yeah, but.
Sometimes you gotta go down there.
Go to here. Go right here.
Here's to my friend and the Ultimate Choice Award recipient,
Go like this.
No, that's Dos Equis.
I just realized he might have been an intern at General Mills when I worked there in the summer.
Do you remember him?
There was a lot of them.
Okay.
But he's from Rockford, and Rockford's about halfway where General Mills in West Chicago. And he says sweeping up Cheerios.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
he could have worked very
So
well.
Billy might be one step away from
Yeah.
Ashton Kutcher. Okay, are you there? Are you done in California?
Yes.
Okay, so what was the point number 3?
Building life rather than living one.
In California? What did he say when he was talking about the third thing?
You got cut off, Ed.
Well, when he was saying I have 3 things to talk about.
Live life, and don't let anyone tell you what you can't do. What's that?
Yeah. Okay. So, if anybody wants to see another version of that, there's many of those on YouTube that continue a little bit longer. So we have on the board here, that's been on the board for how long? It's been on the board?
Forever.
As Richard's concerned, forever.
And there's what I got here.
Okay. So we have Stay Hungry, Stay Foolish, which was part of the Steve Jobs talk. Okay, so but what we're here to talk about today is a review of where we are with our employment planning. And my hunch is that most people are way behind on where they should be with the employment planning. So how many people here and in California have their map done? Who doesn't have their map done?
Who doesn't have a map?
You don't have your map done?
It's a matter of which is.
As far as putting the address, no.
I just started.
I have 3 maps.
Okay. So everybody has the map, right?
Yeah.
And everybody has the layer. What's the status over there, Crystal?
We have our maps, but they're not completed yet.
Okay, thank you, Rose. That sounded like Rose.
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm getting it. So everybody has their map. Does anybody have anything on their layer of prospective employers?
No.
1, 2, 3.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
good. Now, how about? Go ahead, Rose.
We have a couple here in California have something in their perspective.
Is Fernando one of them?
Yes, he is.
Aha. How did I know that? How about Vicente?
Vicente. Vicente. Do you have anything in your perspective layer on your map? Yes? No? No.
Looks like a blank look.
Yes.
Me? Okay. Okay, now what about the calendar? Everybody has their calendar made, right?
Yes.
Does anybody have anything on their calendar?
Mindy, you have doctor's appointments on your calendar? Oh, the calendar? Oh, yes. Yes, they have things on their calendar.
Okay, good. Now, how about the drive? Everybody has the folder set up in the subfolders, right?
Yes.
Does anybody have anything in the subfolders?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Now, everybody, at least here in Las Vegas, should have a paper they wrote of my calling and destiny positions, right?
Yes.
Okay. How many people in California and here know what their calling / destiny position would be? Bill, how about you? No. Yes?
Destiny, your destiny job's gonna be
What do you want to do? Your calling or destiny position. Do you have that identified? Not the employer, but just what you'd like to do. Okay, how about you, Joanne?
Like to be retired.
Scott?
Yeah.
Tony? No? Deborah? Anita?
I know what I want to do, but I don't think you call it this.
Okay. What? Okay. So let's talk about it.
Well, I still want.
Okay. So what's your destiny, position, or calling is something that you like so much you would do if you didn't get paid. Is that?
There's no,
Huh?
there's no factories.
Okay. But what about other card companies? Is it Hallmark per se that you like, or is it the business?
Like if there was some every 3 years or
What about a little company, a little local card company? Is it the card part that you like or the company part? Because I thought you didn't like Hallmark.
I like
Oh, okay. All right. So Richard,
Yes.
Billy, Dodie.
I want to do some kind of counseling.
Okay. So then you'll need more education. Because in Nevada, you can't give people advice unless you have a license. Okay. Malika.
I'm going to be a paralegal.
Or
So,
unless you're
yes.
in jail. You're a jailhouse lawyer.
Troy.
I wanted to do something with glass.
Glass? Okay.
Blow glass.
Yes.
For buildings or for art or functional
For
personal use?
marijuana use.
Okay. Because our first graduate, Stephanie, do you remember Jesse? Well, Stephanie remembers Jesse, the first student in the Gladius program. That was before Stephanie. He was in the glass business. But it's the glass on buildings.
Like neon signs.
No, on the outside, windows.
Windows.
His company went out of business because they did the glass for, what's the one here that's not finished? The Fountain Blue.
That's hilarious. I bought all the glass for the shower enclosures from the inside of that.
Okay, so they did the outside.
It's actually a smart warehouse. As we speak.
Okay. Okay, so Dave.
Yes.
Yes. Matt, you already do. Yes. Yes.
What's yours, Matt?
I already own my own business. I'm just trying to go home.
Fred. Yes. Okay, how about in California? How many people don't know their destiny / calling?
The majority knows, Ed.
Good. Okay. And again, this is something that you love doing so much you do it for free if you could, or pay to do it, right? So, the ending part of the Ashton Kutcher thing, which was from the Steve Jobs movie, and you can watch a Steve Jobs YouTube video where he gives that talk of people grow up tending to think this is the way life is and you should fit into the box. So you can watch the actual Steve Jobs talk that Ashton Kutcher is quoting in the YouTube video we just saw. It's just an interview with him, and he's young and he's, not really thin. And so, just because we've done something for a long time, it doesn't mean we have to keep doing that. Okay? So today, in the next half hour, what we want to do is just dedicate the time to getting the next part of our employment plan done. And, my experience of doing this for the last 2 years is some people do it, they create a plan and they work their plan. That's one of the things they teach you in business school. Plan your work and work your plan. And then change your plan as you need to change your plan. Don't keep doing the same thing if it's not going to work. But plan your work and work your plan. So the people who are successful, the people who do plan their work and work their plan, they get to the next step. The people who don't have enough time to plan their work don't really ever get anywhere. They end up getting a job. Yes.
You know where I'm stuck at with this calling destiny thing? Is
No.
You keep talking about you would do it for free or you would pay to do it. Doesn't joy or passion play into that, and money doesn't have to be like the object of affection or whatever?
So the idea is a calling is something you love so much you'd be willing to work it if you didn't work there if you didn't get paid. If you like your job,
You're gonna make money.
well, so I'm saying something less than that. would be you like going to work, but you wouldn't do it if you didn't get paid. You don't like it that much. Okay, so we're saying a calling is something that's how much you like it.
In other words, it's a job that gives you so much joy and pleasure, and you love it so much. You don't. The money is immaterial.
Okay.
Just don't-
Versus some people have jobs they like. They have employment they like. It's enjoyable. I like going to work. I like these people. But if you say, well, would you do it if you didn't get paid? No, hell no. I don't like it that much. Okay, so it's just a line of here is you like it this much. You like it this much. You would do it without getting paid. And here is you don't. And then there's down here, which is a job I hate it, but I need the money. So that's like telemarketing for most people. Yes, Sam.
I think of it like if I had money, I just had money, and it's something like I would like to do like this, I would have time to just do that for free all the time.
Okay, well that's one way to look at it. Okay, it's you take the idea is you take the money out of the equation. Because people take jobs because they need money. So we're trying to take the money out of the equation.
Right, you don't have to worry about bills and rent and car notes and all that.
Yeah. So if you didn't have to worry about money, would you go work there?
Yeah, I would work in
Okay. Now, let's say it was like this for most people. If you didn't have to worry about money, would you go work at a telemarketing company? Most people say no. Okay, so that's where the money part comes in.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to work
Okay.
at Walmart for free.
Okay. So now, are there any questions in California to this point?
We're good at so far.
Okay, so what we want to do is take the time, the next 25 minutes, to start finishing our plan. Because, again, what happens is most of the people don't do an employment plan and they end up getting a job. And they don't do their employment plan because they just don't want to take the time. They don't think it's worth taking the time, spending the energy to figure out where do I want to work. I can assure you, if it is a good company, in the next 12 months, they are going to hire somebody for the position that you want. Okay? If it's a good company, their business is good, they're growing, it's a positive thing, they're going to be hiring people because either they're growing or somebody is, they're leaving or retiring, whatever. FedEx in the beginning, back in the 70s, late 70s, had a policy that every month they get rid of the worst 10% of their employees.
Wow. FedEx?
Yeah. And that made the hardworking employees feel good, right? Because most good employees begin feeling not good when people who are not good employees are treated the same way. And that goes back to a TED Talk we had regarding it has to be meaningful work. Why do people not like work when they find it's not meaningful? So if you're a pilot and you love working at FedEx and they have a money problem right now because they don't have enough packages going out on the planes to cover the cost of sending the plane there, but their slogan is absolutely positively overnight, and there are pilots who love it so much they use their own credit cards to fuel the planes. That's how it was at FedEx. They use their own credit cards to fuel the planes. Well, there's a dampening effect if somebody says, hell no, I'm not using my credit card for this plane. And if everybody did that, there would have been no FedEx. But enough people said, yeah, I'll use my credit card because I got 30 days. I know I'll get paid. I feel confident about this. If it doesn't work, it's not the end of my life. And so the people who said, no, I'm not going to do that, well, they just were gone. Because FedEx would not have existed if every driver, pilot, said, no, I'm not using my card. That's the company's thing, right? They wouldn't have existed. FedEx was so broke, they had to sell the planes every week to get money to cover their overhead.
Wow.
And then as they collected the money, they'd buy the planes back from the factoring companies. That's what they did. Okay, they had to do that because they knew if people believed it was, well, it might get there tomorrow, it might be overnight.
You might absolutely get there.
then you're not going to send it. You're not going to pay $10 when you could pay $1.50 to send it from the post office, because, you know, maybe it will get there. Or in those days, I remember I was an internship working the Trans-American Pyramid in San Francisco, and we had to have documents done. I would have to drive to the airport to put the package on a plane, not FedEx. This is before FedEx. I'd have to go, or FedEx didn't go there. I'd have to go, and we would have to, in effect, sort of like buy a seat for this package to go on the plane. And the airlines had a special thing where you could just send freight. But it was a real pain in the ass. You know, you have to drive there, park, walk in to the freight thing, fill out paperwork, do all of this stuff. On the other end, somebody had to do something to get the package. Okay, real pain in the ass. But FedEx only survived because of that. CNN is another story like that. They were so broke, they were out of money. Their competitors, which are the networks, ABC, NBC, CBS, they effectively got their satellite time yanked at the last minute. So Ted Turner, who started CNN, he was out of money. So when CNN started, he put everything into CNN. They were down to, yeah, they were down to fumes, and the satellite time was being yanked away, and they were going to go nowhere, except something happened out of the clear blue sky that got people to really care about it. And what was that?
A war.
What was the war? It wasn't a war. It was the hostage crisis. The hostages in Iran. And CNN was live, because if you remember before that, well, it wasn't really live, but if you remember before that, you had the news was on at certain times of the day, unless something came up, and then they would cut in. CNN was billed as all news channel, all day, all news. And in the beginning, they had some segments, and they would just keep replaying them until something new happened. And then they would splice that in, but otherwise it would just keep repeating. Well, the Iran hostage crisis was something that the big networks just could not compete with, because they would only interrupt the regular schedule if something major happened. Where CNN is saying, any minor thing that we can put on is good, because otherwise we're going to just keep repeating the same stories we've been running for the last 12 hours.
It didn't have to be recognized as any kind of news at all.
Correct. It could be anything for CNN that had to do with the hostage crisis would take over for the stuff that they just kept repeating. And the American public, it was hypnotic, right? It was very addictive, because this was sort of the first time you knew you could just go to CNN and see what's the latest thing happening. And that launched CNN, and the rest is history. Southwest Airlines had the same type of problem. But at CNN, people kept working, not knowing if they're going to have a job, not knowing if they're going to get paid, still doing these things, and they turned the corner. Southwest Airlines, it was the same thing. The big airline that really controlled Texas was who? Anybody remember? Anybody remember Braniff?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. They and some of the other airlines stopped Southwest from being able to fly around Texas. And they almost went out of business. So companies are looking for that person who says, I love this so much, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to bet the farm on this. If you're that kind of a person, and the theory is everybody's that kind of person about something, right? Can you think of anything that you'd be that kind of a person for?
That passion.
Director, I got a question.
Yes.
About this destiny thing. My destiny is like to work at a steakhouse. I mean, I worked at Lockyer for 14 years driving a double forklift. I really like that job, you know.
Yeah.
And I did almost do that for free to get back in
driving a forklift.
And you know, but I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed driving the big old forklifts and you know, and the different equipment and stuff.
Okay.
So should I make that as like a backup plan for?
Well, yeah. Well, you can have one is your calling, one is your destiny. You can have more than one business that you would do.
My other thing is I always wanted to get an operator union. From what that guy said, you have to have a 6th grade medical. I was the part there.
Well, it just takes time and commitment.
Yeah.
So now how about in California? How are things out there? Fernando, what can you tell us about your plan?
He's coming over to the mic.
Okay.
Okay, so my plan is, as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to submit applications at Disneyland for their different restaurants they have.
Uh-huh.
And I know that having knowledge in QuickBooks and everything I've learned here is going to help me to get a higher position and maybe an executive chef position.
I see. Okay.
But as long as I'm in the kitchen, I'll be happy.
Okay, now why do you say Disneyland?
Well, Disneyland is a place I know. I frequent a lot. I try all the restaurants or foods, and it's a place where I could see myself working for free.
I see. Okay. Well, the regional director of the school, Thaddeus Carlton, when he was, I think as a kid or growing up, he would go to Disneyland every week. He loved it so much, just the whole environment and atmosphere.
Yeah.
And he grew up in South Central, I think, or somewhere, I don't know, somewhere in a not good area. So there's a lot of benefits from Disneyland.
Yes.
Certainly would be something creative. So, okay, now for other people, if you want to break the cycle of insanity, the insanity cycle, which Victoria, what is the insanity cycle?
Working for the post office.
I didn't hear that. I was looking at Scott.
Working for the post office.
Okay. Thank you, Victoria. Now, Victoria, what is the other definition of insanity? Okay, what was that?
Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
Correct. Okay, so the insanity with the employment plan would be to think that you're going to get your calling or destiny position without actually doing the work. Okay? Now, some people do win the lottery. Okay? But that's not the way to live your life.
Yeah, because you gotta win the lottery.
Rational people act rationally. They do their plan. So, what I encourage everybody to do is just take the first step. If you know what company you want to work for, go to your map, not company, if you know the business that you want to be in, go to your map, go to the search bar, and type in that business. Okay, so I'm going to go to this screen over here. No, I'm going to go to my screen. I'm going to share my screen.
Before you do that, you go back to your folders and stuff.
My molars. What?
If you're doing like what you're saying and start working on this thing, you go back into Drive and pull up the folders that we made for the maps and all that stuff.
Are you saying, do I do that?
No, would we?
Well, I think right now what I would suggest you do is just go to your map. Open your map. Okay, so go to the map.
The one on the Drive, right?
No, it's not on your drive, it's in your map. So you click on the 9-square grid, you open up maps, you go to the cog, the gear in the lower right, you go to My Places. Okay, you click on that and then you open your map. Okay, so when you have your map open, you go to the layer that is your employment prospective employer layer. And then in your search bar, you type in the type of business that you're interested in. Okay, so
First you uncheck all your boxes and you only check the prospective employer's box.
Right.
First.
You make sure that's the active layer. That's the for sure way to know that that's the active layer because it's the only layer. And so, Jim, what is the type of employment that you want?
Restaurant again.
Okay.
Any type of restaurant.
Which part do we type it in?
Particularly fine dining.
Okay. So, the thing to do. So Jim said fine dining. So in the search bar, I put fine dining restaurant. And the problem is with that, there's no shortage.
Wouldn't that be a good thing? There's no shortage of them?
Well,
Which part do we type in, Director?
you type in want to do.
I know in which part, the one all the way to the top?
Yeah. Yeah.
In other words, pick a fine dining place.
Okay, so well then you need to pick one. Now, so
I'm just not narrowing down to one though. I'm going to choose.
yeah.
4 or 5.
So you have a map and it looks like on my screen, or so here's my screen. So you have a map and it has those. Now, if you now turn on your layer that shows where you live or your fixed places, now you'll see those on the map too. And at that point, you can start thinking of, well, what's the one that's closest to where I live? Because if I don't have to spend time driving all the way across town, that could be a good thing. Or you do a weighing. What's more important, working at Disneyland or working at Disneyland, but that is an hour away from my house with traffic, or working at Magic Mountain, and that's 15 minutes from my house. And then you can start weighing those things. You might say, well, what's the probability of getting a job at Magic Mountain versus Disneyland? If I take a job, it's a higher probability at Magic Mountain. If I take the Magic Mountain position, will that help me get a position at Disneyland in the future? You can start doing things like that because you have your map. Then once you just pick 3 to 5 places, you start doing your research on those. And you verify whether that is one of the places you want to have on your map or one of your calling or career positions. Now for people here in Las Vegas, I highly, highly, highly encourage you to choose places that are in the downtown project area.
Yeah, you have a better chance
Funny
to
you should
look
say
it
that
up.
because as soon as you enter in the search for fine dining in Las Vegas area, the first one that clicked on when I hovered over it was right here in the corner.
Called what?
Top of the village restaurant.
Okay.
Steakhouse.
So, so I highly suggest you do that. Now, Richard, the downtown project has a thing that's something like Drive 100 or something like that that has to do with vehicles. You might look at that if you want to be in the cab business. They bought 100 Teslas.
Wow.
I don't know how many have been delivered.
So I look under downtown project?
Yeah, so you would go to the downtown project website first instead of the map.
Got it.
Director,
Yes.
I get my address
like
from
for
there.
me, like those like the fine dining, like the downtown project,
I
fine
think the
dining,
right
and
street for me
downtown
right
projects,
there.
or
No, what you would do if you put fine dining, you would take your map like I'm doing and you would zoom in on the downtown area.
You see what?
So this page is loading.
Jeez.
so that's what Vegas and Boulevard and Fremont.
So you just zoom your map in.
Where are we at?
Okay, so we're right here at the container park.
As far as felons go,
Mhm.
I brought Sherry a list of all the companies that accept that, and wouldn't it be ideal for us to visit that information before
Well-
we even begin to think about jobs or, I mean, health stuff?
Well, no, I don't think so, because that's a reactive approach. That's saying who will hire me, versus if you find a place that you like, it shouldn't take very long to find out whether they're felon friendly.
Isn't that a whole bunch of waste of my time?
Well, I think, the question is, you're talking about something that you want to do for a long period of time. Is it worth 10 minutes to be able to find out whether they're felon friendly?
Oh, okay. I thought you meant like after, during the interview or the
No, you find out as part of your research. So if you're an ex-felon,
Right. Okay.
I don't understand what I'm supposed to look for.
Okay, so very easy.
okay, so for you, if it's fine dining, you look for places, right, that are fine dining.
How?
Well,
On the internet, Google
like
search.
I have on the screen there.
So in that little box, I would put
So where
medical
was this
administration.
Hold on, what, Deborah?
In that little box, I put medical administration.
Okay, so you would
Hold on
put,
a second. Hold on a second.
this is the box at the top.
Wait a minute.
You're on the late shift.
But, okay, but so for you, Deborah, what does medical administration mean? Does that mean like working in a medical office?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right.
So you would be thinking in terms of what type of medical office? Like a dentist, eye doctor,
Orthopedic.
gynecologist, what?
First of all, I like primary, so
Primary care physician.
Okay, so you would say primary care physician. And then you start looking at the companies that pop up, you start going through them, and you start taking them off your list. So if it starts with, there's 50. So let's say primary care physician.
Go ahead. But I mean, you're you get your plan that
Okay, so I just put primary care physician in,
Las Vegas.
and if you look at the screen, so look, you see that screen over there?
You see that?
Okay, these are all the primary care physicians in that area that come up on a search. And what you do is you just click on one of them. Let's say this one here, number C, New Horizons Primary Care, Dr. Ricardo Velasquez. They have a website.
And then you can click on.
You go to their website.
And it'll put on the map.
It's saved.
So you look at their website, you do your research, You find out if that's what they like. You find out whether that really is the company you want to work for. They have a thing on here called job openings.
I didn't see that. I missed that. While it's still on my map?
Yeah.
Like for me, Director, I want to be a paralegal, so I'm thinking the best route for me is to get my foot in the door to start out as a file clerk or something like that.
Well, so you would look for law firms.
That's what I put in, law firms downtown. There's a
Okay. Well, you don't have to say downtown. You could just say law firms.
But this is the area I want to work in.
I understand, but watch.
Okay.
This is the thing you need to know about Google Maps.
What you need to know about them.
Whatever size map you have on your screen is what it's going to cover. So the more you zoom in, it's only going to include places in that area. Okay, so you see that map? That's law firms.
Yes.
If I scroll in, and my map just shows me downtown, I'm just going to see the law firms downtown.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah, but you don't need to put downtown.
Oh, okay.
You just write law. You just put in law firms.
Law firms.
Okay. Now these can't all be law firms.
I don't understand.
Like, so it gives me a list. Well, I did. I typed in law firms
Maybe they
downtown.
are.
And then it said something about more. So I went to more, and it gave me a list and photographs. Like,
Are you in maps?
yeah, I started in maps.
Okay.
And now I have a map on the side when I click more or whatever it said there. And yeah, I have a little map on the side, and then I have a list of all the law firms, and it has little photographs.
Like on the screen there?
Yeah, but it doesn't have balloons or bullets or anything like
Yeah,
that.
which
It has
law
bullets on my
firms are
map.
you using for this on the map?
The one at the very top of the page. It's the map at the top of the page.
Okay, now I need to go back. Now you said, okay, but jobs. Now how do I get there?
Jobs? Oh, well, click on one of the companies.
Okay. Oh, it's a list all results.
I don't think you're in maps. It doesn't sound like you're in maps. It sounds like you're in Google search.
Okay, this is where I start.
Show me your map.
Okay, this is where I start. I started in Google Maps, and then I typed in law
I have no idea.
I'm sorry, I
So-
participated in class.
Click on that here.
Okay.
And go to My Places.
Also, I'm applying for title insurance companies.
So where is your map on?
Well, these are the
Go
title
to this
insurance
map right here. Go to that.
This is my map from yesterday.
Very hostile place.
I didn't put anything on there.
Well, you have your, okay, so uncheck that, uncheck that. No, you check the wrong one.
Yeah, they're all on the maps.
Uncheck the top one.
You want to look for, are you looking for map?
Now,
No, I was-
this
I was in
right
map.
here,
Yeah.
well, first of all, zoom in on that.
Yeah.
You need to know what you're looking for before you can look for it on the map. That's why you go here first and figure out which ones you kind of like. After you find those criteria, you have to find, like, say, for example, Chris, maybe you like that one. Then you go to your map.
Scroll in. This is, use your pointer, left click, and move it. Here's how you do it.
I'm supposed to be able to grab it, pick it up.
Yeah, you hold down the left button.
Okay.
Just to show you an example. This is your map.
You put that in the center of your screen.
My custom map. And then you just keep clicking. You
Yeah, I want to go to Las Vegas.
This is on that. So let's say,
All right, I'm up
right
there.
This
okay, now type in
employment
law firm.
plan version. This is where you want to put it. Job share, whatever it is you.
Right.
That's
So now,
let's just say, for example.
if
That's
that's
why I
law
typed
firm,
it in that.
Yeah, right. Just say-
Oh, that's Las Vegas, Benjamin.
That's what I was trying to ask.
now you see his website.
On maps.
Okay, you click on that.
Your map is, that's kind of Google.
Okay, that's what it was.
Just, this is your map. This is your box. Whatever you want to find. on
And
your
there
map,
might be something on here.
That's what I was trying to ask.
Job.
This is the top. You don't want to use on missing.
No, that's
If you're
fine.
not looking at it, this is the top of your map.
That's why I wanted to work in criminal law.
So there's another guy.
Oh, Ed Bernstein?
It's not right when you start typing.
So there might be something down at the bottom.
It's not good regarding job and places they want Las Vegas.
Like it says careers or something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So you just search around.
All right.
Okay, so it's about time. It's time, everyone. So next week we're going to focus on the resume. Next week we're going to continue this, but we're going to focus on resume and the interview process. Okay, but everybody over the weekend, tomorrow, whenever you have a chance to get to the computer, just identify some companies that you think you would like to work with. If they're good companies, they're looking for good people. Okay, or they will be in the next year. And if you are perceived as a good person, they're going to want to hire you. Okay, thanks everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. You too, Ed.